Hey everyone, welcome for another episode in Adventures of Comprehension. My name is Ciera Harris and I'm really excited to be with you all. So tonight we're going to be talking all about some end of the year mentor texts that you can use to keep your students engaged, but also to have some of those end of the year conversations and reflections that I know are oh so important. All right, so in no particular order, we're going to start with the book, The Last Day of School. This book, I think, completely captures the utter chaos that is the last day of school. It's very unique as well because the main character in the story isn't really a prominent character. The story more so centers around the schedule and the timing and the events of the last day of school. So this is a great one. The class that is in the book is a third grade class, but really any grade could relate to this book. So the activity or the reading skill that I paired with this is main idea and details. This book is perfect for that. And the reason why is because the main idea is going to be very obvious to students. Okay, it's going to be very simple for them to be able to figure out the main idea. What will be difficult, though, is really diving through, sorting through all the details in this book and trying to figure out which ones are actually more important, which ones support the main idea the most. You could have a tug of war to talk about, like which details are more supportive. You could have a debate, any kind of that back and forth, because there are so many in this book that it's really going to take some deeper thinking and kind of ranking even to figure out which ones support the main idea the most. And so with that, I made just a very simple main idea detail graphic organizer that you can use with the book. And again, on the digital version, it looks just the same. The students will just type in their answers. So if you want to do this virtually, you could easily read the book out loud to your students. And then together as a class or even individually, you could assign them this page and they would then do the same thing. Think about the main idea and then maybe have them write out as many supporting details as they can and then figure out what are their top three and then support the reasons why. Our next story, and this one's one of my favorites, it is called And Then Comes Summer. And this book completely captures the essence that is summer. When you read this story, if you read it to your students, please, please, please do not show them the pictures the very first time. This book is so beautifully written. The author does an amazing job at being so descriptive of using all the different senses to capture what summer is like, that the students really need to hear it and they need to be able to visualize summer using their own background knowledge and then using the information the author gives. Or the reading skill that you need to do with your students is absolutely visualizing. For this activity, there are two different versions because visualizing and drawing online for the digital version clearly is not easy. I've made two different activities. So the first one for visualizing, so after they read the book and then come summer, they're going to draw out three important visuals that they had while reading. So there's three different boxes and some pictures maybe to remind them of some important things that happened. They do not have to use those pictures. They can rely back on any visuals that they thought of while they were visualizing the story. The digital version of this activity is completely different. It is a text evidence sort. They're going to read different pieces of text evidence from the story, and they're going to sort them based on whether or not they do support visualization. So you've got two different options here, but visualization and this book go hand in hand, and it is a must read for every end of the year. All right, we're on book number 3. Book number 3 is called Cloudette. Cloudette is a very small little cloud. And Cloudette is a very simple, very easy read that really any grade, even your higher grades, can relate to. But Cloudette is this little cloud. And Cloudette realizes that he is very small compared to the other clouds. But he's okay with that. He is perfectly, perfectly fine being small. I love this book because I think it gives each student a very strong message. It doesn't matter what size you are. It doesn't matter who you are, where you came from, or what you do. everybody has a purpose. Everybody has a place in this world. And it's our job to go out and find that place. I highly recommend this book to squeeze in a last minute theme lesson with your students. So the activity that I have chosen, I've pulled out different pieces of text evidence, and the students are going to read through them, and they're going to check mark yes or no whether or not that piece of evidence supports the theme. And I've given them the theme. They don't have to come up with it. Finding your place in the world. How does the different evidence in the book support that theme? On the digital version of this, the kids are going to, these little bitty clouds are actually off to the side, and they're going to move the cloud into the yes or the no. So they get to move the cloud instead of drawing the X. So same type of activity, it just makes it a little bit more interactive and digital. Hey everyone, so sorry to interrupt, but I want to make sure that you are loving the content coming from Ciera Harris Teaching on YouTube. So make sure if you are loving this to subscribe and also like and comment below. I would love to hear from you. Our next book is a wonderful one. It is called The Knowing Book. If you haven't read The Knowing Book, it just gives me so much emotion every time I read it. Every time I read it, I find something new to stop and think about and to relate to. The Knowing Book is a book about, it doesn't really have a character. You kind of are the main character in the story. Now, it does show this little rabbit throughout the whole story, but in reality, the author's really talking to the reader and talking to you and what you need to be doing in your life. So it's very deep, very powerful, but again, a perfect book to have those, where's life going to take you kind of conversations. And so the activity and reading skill, of course, is making those connections. And the book automatically just generates very deep connections. So what I've done in our activity here is I found what I thought were like the 3 biggest stopping points in the story that I think would be appropriate for most grade levels. Some of the things in there can be a little bit more deep, but these are all very appropriate. So I've typed in the text for all 3 of those stopping points, and then the students can write in the connection that they make. So the digital version is the same thing, but they will just type in their answers. The next one is called, this is a new one for me, Do Not Bring Your Dragon to the Last Day of School. Dora will read, very, very fast read, that a lot of, kids will love. And of course, you can figure out what the whole story is about based on the title. So throughout the story, different children have brought their dragon, I almost said dinosaur, their dragon to the last day of school. And because of that, the dragon causes a lot of problems. So of course, this story is perfect for cause and effect. So I've got just a very quick little graphic organizer. You could easily replace this and put it on big anchor chart and even find some more examples. I did 3, that way it's a nice quick review mini lesson. I've chosen 2 causes and 1 effect, and they have to find the opposite, of course. Very simple, great little review lesson to squeeze in. That way you're still being academic, you still keep your routine until that last day of school, and you're still giving them some great content with some fun on the side, right? Last one is called Mrs. Spitzers Garden. This is, again, one of my favorites, and if you haven't read this one, you're going to want to grab the tissues when you do so, because it is beautiful. Not only are the illustrations some of the best around, but the book has such a sweet message for teachers and for students. This whole book is one large metaphor comparing the garden and the seeds to children. So if you haven't read this one, definitely go and grab it. And for a reading activity, it's definitely compare and contrast. You could make a T-chart. You could do a true Venn diagram if you want. I feel a T-chart is a little bit better for this one. But let your students have that conversation with you about, what kind of information they get from the book that's all about gardening, but then how does that relate to teaching? And see those comparisons side by side and talk about, the passion and the love that teachers have for their students and how that never ends. You're going to leave my room, but you will always be my students. You will always be a part of me. So again, if you want any of the freebies, I'm going to drop the link in the comments and in the description. So just hold tight. I will get that up there in just a few minutes when I'm done. And remember that all your freebies come in a digital version. So if you want any of the books, you'll click these links here. And if you want the digital version, you're going to click this. Again, it's for Google Slides only, and that does include Google Classroom. However, if you do Seesaw, you can upload the PDFs to Seesaw, and the students can write on them. So you could do these activities in Seesaw as well. So that's what I've got for you tonight. Hopefully these books and these activities are helpful for the last few weeks of school, whenever that is for you. Enjoy your last few weeks. Enjoy your last few weeks with these students. And I wish you well. Let me know if you have any questions or comments. And until then, I will talk to you all later, right? All right, bye.